What's up, guys? Edrone here. Welcome in Fly Zone Drones, Technique FPV, Remy, Tim. We got Ciotti FPV, going to be out momentarily. TJ Drones and more drone shots. Welcome in, guys. Welcome in. We got an awesome stream planned for you guys tonight. You're not going to want to miss out. We have very special guest, Ciotti FPV. We're going to bring out momentarily. We're going to be doing we're going to be looking at some new products here on the stream. We're going to be talking to Ciotti, and we're going to be doing a live giveaway. So make sure you look at the rules down in the video description for all that. And welcome in Savannah's Adventures. Welcome in. So without further ado, let me welcome in the one, the only Ciotti FPV.
What's up, dude? How are you? What's up, friend?
I'm hanging in there, man. I'm just so glad that you were able to be on the stream tonight. Very excited about having you on, and I got a special banner just for you. Boom! Look at that.
Nice. I love it.
Absolutely, cool. Man. So I know you're incredibly busy, so I'm so glad you were able to fit with the live stream schedule. Greatly appreciate that, man. You're definitely
Absolutely
been on the move, man. A lot of great things happening for you.
Yeah, it's a lot trying to do this full time, like as a career. But you know, it's great fun, as you can probably guess. So it's worth it.
It could be a little bit addicting, to say the least.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome in, Mike. Good to see you, buddy. So, as I like to start out with all my special guests, we'll start out with the, are you a thumber, pincher, or hybrid? Pincher! We got a pincher!
I almost had to fly thumb yesterday because I mangled the tip of my right index finger the other night on the stream. But I was actually fine. So
that's awesome. Got to take care of those precious fingers.
Yeah,
that's what makes all the magic.
Man. It's weird. I had that thought this summer when I was doing a bunch of cinematic work of like I have to like be careful. You know, like if I mess up my hands or my fingers or whatever, like it's my livelihood. It's interesting.
You got that right. Absolutely. And welcome in Crabtree FPV and Frank Nicholas. Welcome in, guys. Welcome in. Awesome. So now let's rewind for a little bit. Let's go back to the very beginning. How did you get started with FPV?
Sure. My starting point was, I mean, I guess you could say the stupid little infrared helicopters. They had the bidirectional blades and then the pusher, the tiny little pusher in the rear. Way long ago, right? Like 10 years ago, whenever. I got a couple of those, and it was like I was just like kind of taken by them, and I got really, even though it was like impossible to control the damn things, I got pretty good at being able to actually fly the entire built-in battery without crashing in like the living room of, at the time I was living up in New Jersey actually, and then that was it. Like, you know, there was just a stupid little toy for a while, and then eventually when actual quads became a thing, a friend of mine that lives up in New Jersey sent me a Blade non-camera. Like it was just a line of sight. It was actually a 3D quad. It was the Blade. What the hell is it called? Not the Blade Torrent. I forget. But yeah, no camera quad. The PCB was the frame.
Wow.
And then it had little brushed 6mm motors with little plastic landing gear, and that was it. But it was 3D and it had a PID loop. And I remember like I couldn't believe how solid it was in the air, right? Because it would the old infrared ones didn't have a gyro, didn't have a PID loop, didn't have any air correction. So this little quad, I was just like, you could just see the authority, right? Like you could just see how stable it was. And then when you moved it, like it was real responsive. And that was just really, really fun for me. So that's when I was living in Charleston, and I used to go up on my front deck and I would fly it up off the deck around the parking lot. And I was tail in because it was line of sight, and I would just wing it around the parking lot. And eventually I got a little bit better at line of sight where I could not keep it tail in all the time. I could start driving around out there. And then when I found out FPV was a thing, it was like, yeah, that's what I gotta do that. And it was the original Baby Hawk. Like as far as I'm concerned, like my first drone, whatever FPV drone, was the original white Emax Baby Hawk, 1105 motors. I forget the KV. It was built for 2S, plastic frame, and it was $100. I remember I was like going back and forth between that for $100 and the Blade, or the Torrent for 200. And the Torrent ended up being awful, which was nice. So I ended up falling into the right one. But that was a hard rig. It was a little like 20 by 20 flight controller that didn't have mounting holes. It was just double-sided taped to the plastic frame. And then it had individual ESCs, 30 gauge wires running to the individual ESCs on the arms.
Wow.
Which was just a nightmare, especially because I started upgrading it and put it in a carbon frame and all this. And then I didn't know how to solder. So I learned to solder on that. And what was kind of cool is like, it was like swinging with a weighted bat from day one. So like learning how to build, learning how to tune, I had to work really hard to get good at it. But once I was done with that process, I was able to build anything from that point. And it's always kind of been that way since.
That's awesome, man. Real quick, welcome in Geppetto's Lab, Mr. J's RC, Steve-O, Mendez Drone Ops, Dan Richmond. Welcome in, guys. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in and hanging out with us tonight. That's awesome, man. So it seems like the micros have always kind of had your heart, even from the beginning, right? Like you've kind of tended to like the micros a lot more.
Sort of. So it was initially the choice to go with the micros was money and space. I wanted to be able to fly in the parking lot safely, and I wanted the cheapest possible thing. And I knew that I would need to get a lot of batteries because I knew from my previous obsession was motorsports, and with motorsports, seat time is everything. You can have you can pour $100,000 into a car, and if you don't have any seat time, you're going to be shit slow and you're going to get pounded. I'm going to try to not curse.
That's okay. It's all right.
Okay, cool. You're going to be slow and you're going to get railed by good drivers in Miatas. So I just knew that I needed to get as many batteries and just stay up in the air as much as possible if I was going to get good. And I really wanted to get good. That's always been like a core thing for me, is like get good as a pilot. That's always been really high on the priority list, of which there are many in FPV. So like, with the micros, it was like I can buy batteries for like $7 or $8 each instead of 20, 25, 30 for 5-inch rigs. And I can just fly it off the front deck and just get like tons and tons of flight time in. The plan was always to kind of eventually go to a 5-inch rig that can carry a GoPro, but that's when like the money side of it kind of came in. When I got into this hobby, I was unemployed. I was getting out of motorsports to try to find a hobby that was less expensive. Because the only way to make $1 million in motorsports is to start with 2 million.
Yeah, really.
And so, it was just a lot of it was about costs. And so eventually after Quad Camp Atlanta, and like, I got a little bit of notoriety from that. Actually right before Quad Camp Atlanta, come to think of it, is when I built my first 5-inch rig, which was like a year and a half into the hobby for me. So yeah, I was like only micros. The Baby Hawk was 2.3 inch, and then I put it on a frame where it would do 3-inch, and then a bunch of tiny whoops and a 2-inch rig. That was it for like the first year and a half. And then I got into 5-inch stuff, and that I spent a lot of time flying 5-inch for the next couple of years because at the time it flew a lot better. Now, like today, there are 3-inch and 3.5-inch rigs that kind of fly every bit as good as a 5-inch rig. It's tough to say that, but yeah, for the most part. But back then, the micros did not fly well, even with a lot of effort and tuning and whatnot. We just didn't have the right motors. We didn't have the right props. We didn't have the right frames. So it's funny, like I had this big chunk of time, probably like 3.5 or so years in the middle, where I kind of only flew 5-inch rigs. I've been good friends with Tommy, so like he's always had me working with the Acrobrat to kind of, V1 prototype, V2, just kind of feedback. but that was kind of it for a while. It was like 5-inch and then the Acrobat, and that was it. And now lately, now that we've got some really good motor options, some really good frames, I'm starting to kind of go a lot heavier back into micros, which is really fun because a 3-inch rig is just so safe, and I'm really looking forward right now to sending that thing up and down some gnarly buildings in Atlanta and just doing some really fun stuff with it. Because we've all seen 5-inch stuff for 5, 6, 7 years straight, and it's like, what's next? Like there's nothing's ever gonna fly like a 5-inch rig, but if you can get close enough with half decent quality HD with something that's totally safe and quiet, you can fly in a lot of different spots. So that's kind of what's next for me.
Absolutely. Real quick, welcome in Mike B, the Drone Ranger. We got Whack FPV. That's an interesting name for sure. And let's see, I thought I saw somebody else down here. We got Double A in the house. Good to see you, brother. And Robert Glazier. Welcome in, guys. Welcome in. So I like what you said a little bit earlier, that you said you wanted to get better at FPV. Guys, this is something you should listen to if you're looking to get better with FPV, because I completely agree with Aaron. He basically said if you want to get better at FPV, he wanted to buy more batteries so he could fly more. Notice he didn't say anything about he wanted to learn how to tune and he wanted to learn how to get out every wobble and bobble to fly better. He wasn't looking for that magical mystery tune that's just going to make him the greatest FPV pilot of all time. It's stick time. That's the one most important thing you can do to up your game, is stick time. Get on the simulator, get more batteries, stay in the air over and over again. Completely agree with that.
In fairness, at the time, I was obsessed with tuning. Just like most. Like I had the same, it's funny, I had the exact same sort of, build as everybody else has. So like I've been there, and it's something that I talk about on my streams all the time. Like, fly the stock tune unless there's a problem, because the stock tune is loose enough that you can pound on your motors, your props, your frame, and just keep flying more and more and more. If you want to be a better pilot, like I have to also realize that like not everybody's like me, right? Some people are just in it for the joy of being up in the air, and they don't, just being able to not crash is enough. And like I'm actually very jealous of that, because that seems like a lot of fun and not a lot of stress. And a lot of us do things that can make this a little bit more stressful than it maybe needs to be. But yeah, stock tune is a beautiful thing on Betaflight with RPM filtering. You can really just roast a rig and just keep flying and flying and flying and flying, and just get good. And the sim is a big part of it too. I used to do a half an hour a night. Like, I set a rule for myself in like the first year, where I wouldn't go to sleep without having spent a half an hour in the sim, and
That's
I was
awesome.
able to do that for almost a year, I think, just every single night, just put a little bit of stick time into the simulator. Eventually the simulator started to be like an additional rig that I had to like adjust to fly. And it's interesting. Eventually I noticed the simulator making me fly worse, because eventually you realize that you need to kind of fly the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So all these 5-inch rigs up here are exactly the same build.
Yep.
The two Cinewhoops are the exact same build. And for the most part, for a long time, like that was kind of it. It was just the same exact 5-inch build over and over and over and over and over again. And then one single the Acrobat, basically. And then when I would go into the sim, but this is after years, this is after probably thousands of hours in the simulator that this finally did happen. And I noticed it. Like I noticed that I would go on the sim for a couple nights, and then I would fly for real. And I would watch my footage back of flying for real, and I would just be flying terrible. And I would look at footage from like a month ago, and I'm like, why am I better? Like, what's happened? And then like you'll notice it.
Yeah.
But it's the stick time is just everything up until like at least 100 hours, probably closer to 1,000 hours, to be honest. It's just pouring time into the simulator, because it's hard. It's incredibly difficult to do what we're doing. And muscle memory just requires tons of hours. So you just have to do it. Luckily,
Consistency really is key, and that was something I learned later on as well. I had like 4 or 5 different types of quadcopters, and every time I would get into one and another, it was a completely different feel, and all the parts were different, and
Right.
it just I when I went to consistent frames and just started flying consistent parts and rigs, it just brought everything together and just kind of honed in
Yeah, for
on your
sure.
skills. So
For sure.
welcome in King Turkey and Private Island FPV. Welcome in, guys. Good to see you. So, yeah, I started with the 5 inch after when I first got an FPV. It was all about 5 inch, and I started flying like whoops inside stuff like that. And I thought to myself, man, I really don't even need to bother with a 3 inch. What do I need a 3 inch for? I got my whoop for inside. I got my 5 inch for outside. Until I've built and flown a 3 inch, and I absolutely loved it. I fell in love. It was so much fun. Yet it was just I could barely was bothering my neighbors. They could barely hear the thing ripping out there. And the way I built it on the Japulor frame, so
Nice.
it had a little bit of additional weight anyway.
Sure.
And the way I was throwing it, it really felt very similar to the way like you throw your 5 inch quads. So I get the hype on the 3 inch, man. They are a ton of fun. And like you
Yeah.
said, they're safer. If you hit somebody with 3 inch, yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's probably going to hurt, but nowhere near the damage of a 5 inch.
Yeah, nobody's going to the hospital. Like you
Right.
rail somebody in the face even at full throttle with a 3 inch rig, and they're not like sorry, but they're not going to the hospital. I don't
Right.
think. I hope. But
Yeah.
I mean, same thing with a 5 inch rig, and like I mean, hospital could become the morgue. like, like if you've ever like caught like one of the most eye opening moments is when I had a 5 inch rig up in a tree and I didn't want it to hit the concrete. So I just thought, I could probably catch this thing. And it was like, I don't know, 20 feet up maybe. So I put the transmitter on the ground with turtle mode and I saw which prop was free. I'm like, all right, cool. And I armed it on turtle mode and I just whacked that to trigger that prop and it perfectly came out of the tree. And I knew it was going to come down hard. So I had my hands up over my head and I caught it up here. And the weight, like I wasn't trying to hit the ground with it, but the weight of it dragged me all the way to the ground. And I almost like fell over. Like the amount of energy that thing had coming, just free falling from 20 feet was wild. So that was such a cool, like eye opening, like, okay, yeah, this, like, there's a lot of force behind this thing. And
More
that's free
mass.
falling.
It's definitely going to, it's got more energy behind it when you're flying it, 70, 80, 90 miles an hour.
Yeah, 600 grams doesn't sound like a lot until you actually do that. And it's like, okay, that's a lot.
Yes,
So
it definitely is.
it's good to have that
Welcome in,
respect for it.
Noah. Appreciate you. Make sure I didn't miss anybody. Oh, RC Ritter FPV and Remy Tim. Welcome in, guys. Welcome in. And Athix FPV. Hope I said your name right. Welcome in, guys. Glad to see you. So, yeah, the 3 inch, I wasn't expecting it. Like, I just thought that, there's no way, this is going to feel remotely close to my 5 inch quadcopter, because when you build it and you look at the size of the props, you're like, yeah, it's going to be fun, but I just don't see it being a little screamer. No, my 3 inch is a little ripper, man. I absolutely have a blast with that thing. And it's just so fun to just get in the goggles and just have fun with it. And, you put Crossfire or another kind of long range, link on it and just send it wherever you'd send your 5 inch quads. It's so much fun.
For sure. For sure.
Absolutely.
Double A in the chat says my first 249-gram will cause hospital injuries. And, it could. I mean, if you go, it's funny. As I was saying it, I was like, if you go full throttle into somebody's face with a 3 inch rig, it would probably put them in the hospital. But you're not going to do that, right? Like even with a 3 inch rig, you shouldn't be doing that. Like, I think the beauty of a 3 inch rig is that you can go to a city and send it up the side of a building. And like worst case, it falls down on a car. It's not going to break a car. It's not going to like wreck a car. It's not going to really do any. I don't know.
It's way less mass. So the damage isn't going to be as severe, and the lipos that you use for them are a lot smaller as well. It's just everything is just so much more condensed and small.
Yeah, it's a lot cheaper. Like no matter how you slice it, it's definitely cheaper.
And it's cheaper, exactly. Welcome in, Vampire. What's going on? Glad to see you, brother. Thanks for stopping by. That's my buddy John, man. He lives right local to me. I'm over in Delaware, actually, like northern Delaware, about 40 minutes from good old Bot Grinders, Philadelphia.
Very cool.
Absolutely. Welcome in, Michael Blade FPV. If I missed you earlier, welcome in, man. Glad to see you. So it's about 8:20. What do you say we go take a look at a new product? I think you guys will really want to check it out. Go over here. This is at Pyrodrone. It's in stock at the current time of this live stream. This is the Beta FPV Pavo 30 Pro frame kit. Nice little Cinewhoop here. Thought we could take a look at that. It seems like a lot of the Cinewhoops are kind of going towards the smaller ducted design. At one point, it seemed like we were always going towards like bigger ducts. And then it seems like here recently we're getting smaller and smaller with those duct sizes. So, but this one's kind of interesting. It looks like it's thicker on the inside, but then as we get on the outside, it thins out. You see that? Pretty interesting. What do you think about this frame, Ciotti?
It makes a lot of sense that they're starting to that there's such a push for the smaller ducts now, because the majority of the people buying FPV rigs are FPV pilots, right? And like, we want stuff that flies good. It's interesting that there was this huge boom in Cinewhoops, which are a pretty specific tool for a pretty specific job, right? Like, they are for flying around talent that could get cut. Yeah. And like the fact that I just never really understood why everybody was all this. I mean, I did understand it. It was just the hype train, right? Everybody needed to have it. But like, from a flight standpoint, it didn't really make much sense. For a normal FPV pilot, this makes way more sense than a regular Cinewhoop. The performance benefit to the smaller ducts is wild. I mean, this will fly so much more like a regular freestyle rig than a Cinewhoop. That a normal FPV pilot will love something like this. And you can still use this around people, just not important people, let's say, because it's way easier for somebody to get cut on something like this because of how much smaller the guard is versus a duct.
Yeah, absolutely. There's still going to be that outer edge area that's not quite as thick, so just watch flying around people with that. Absolutely. I like how the XT60 is kind of like built into the top plate, man. Really clean looking. I like that design there.
That's pretty cool.
And then it's got the grip tape on the top there for your battery. Looks like it's got a nice little whoop board size here for your electronics. And it looks like it comes with your GoPro style mount connector piece here with the screw and the bolt set. Let's take a look at
that's set up for a full-size GoPro. That's wild. I mean, there are plenty of motors now on a 3-inch prop that'll pick up a standard GoPro, so I guess it's not that nuts, but it's crazy to see that. Usually you'll see them with the naked GoPro mounts.
Yeah, we're utilizing 3-inch props with this particular frame here, and everything it comes with looks like down here it's 151 grams dry. So that's without motors and electronics and your cameras and everything. I mean, if you really tried to build this spec out to lightweight, I'm pretty sure you may be able to get this 249 grams. Maybe if you use like a Caddx Peanut or something like that. What do you think about that, Ciotti?
150 gram frame. I think it's going to be tough to keep that under 250.
It would be very tough. I think you would really have to compromise on like the motors.
Yeah, it certainly wouldn't be able to carry a full-size GoPro at that weight.
Oh, yeah, absolutely not.
I'm actually surprised that 150. No, it makes sense. Yeah, because the ducts. The Cinesplorer frame is what I fly, and it's a lot lighter, but I've never weighed it with the ducts. I'm sure the ducts are like another 5, 10, 15 grams per, so that would make a lot of sense now.
So this is everything that comes with this frame kit. Pretty decent frame kit, I think, for coming out of the box with everything they're giving you. And what I like to do, guys, is I like to give this away to one of you guys in the chat. What do you guys think about that? we'll see what the guys think. But I would like to go ahead and select a winner tonight and use this for the giveaway and send this to one lucky winner. Let me get back to the chat here.
This is also Beta FPV's like what, fourth design of a rig like this. So
yeah.
I'm sure they've learned a lot, and I've heard that this thing flies really good. Yeah, so I'm sure they've learned a ton from the 95X V1, V2, and V3.
Absolutely. Welcome in MB Drones, Vitrafly. What's going on, brother? Good to see you. And we got the Tank RC, Corey Gamble. We got Frank Nicholas. We got Steve-O. Yes, sir. Welcome in, guys. Good to see you. So we got some guys that say sounds awesome. They said, yeah, give away the frame. Heck yeah. So I'm going to leave it up to Ciotti tonight, guys. He's a special guest tonight. And I'm going to leave it up to him. However he wants to select a winner, he can either select one randomly, or I could pull up a random comment wheel in the background. Whatever you want tonight, Aaron.
I was pulling a wheel up. I was actually pulling a random wheel up.
Sweet, sweet. That's sweet. Now, to be eligible for this giveaway, guys, you must be in the U.S. This is a U.S. only giveaway, okay? And all you have to do is type down in the comment section. But before you do that, down in the video description is the link to Ciotti FPV's YouTube channel. Make sure you go over there and throw him a sub, send him a like. Awesome channel. Does a lot for the community. Lots of informational live streams that you guys can learn. Follow along while he does his builds, and some awesome YouTube content as well. So make sure you subscribe and smash that like button. And if this is your first time here, I welcome you to the Edrone Send It Sunday live stream. Thank you so much for coming in. And if you would consider subscribing and hitting that like button for me as well, I would greatly appreciate that. Welcome in Robert Garcelon. We got Marty Wazak. Everybody's like, yeah, all right. Well, I know I picked we got a good giveaway then. Everybody's excited. All right, cool. So, we got Failsafe FPV. Welcome in Optimized Drone. Man, we got all kinds of people coming out now. That's what's up. Welcome in, guys. All right, so if you want to enter in to win to get on the wheel, on Ciotti's wheel of the giveaway winner here, type down in the live chat right now. Type in Ciotti. So type down Ciotti, and that will enter you to win and enter you to a chance to win the giveaway. If you're in the U.S., you must be in the U.S. for this giveaway, guys.
You want to do the wheel so that you can show it on the screen? I won't be able to share my screen, I don't think.
No? It won't let you share?
Didn't even look. Let's see.
If not, no worries.
Look at that. Share screen.
Perfect. I thought you could.
Let me close all the porn. Hold on.
I thought you could, but I just wanted to make sure. And let me show these guys a couple other little sexy pictures I found of this frame that you're going to be winning. Someone lucky winner is going to be winning tonight. Look at that. Now, yours may be a little bit different than this. There's a couple different renditions, but you get the idea. It's a really cool-looking frame for sure. I have seen multiple different types of this frame, so I'm not sure exactly what yours will look like, but you will be winning the Beta FPV Pavo 30 Pro. That's the frame that is going to be given away tonight. Okay, so whenever you're ready, Ciotti, go ahead and share. I might have to do something on my end, but you should just be able to share your screen.
I just grabbed the participant. Hey, look at it. That worked. Wow, that's okay.
Oh, sweet.
That works. Cool. And then, so if I go to share screen, easy, so 2 monitors, fine. I want to share screen 1. Let's see if that works.
Yes, it did. All I got to do is go add to stream, and just like that, magically it is there.
Awesome. All right, cool. I did the participant list a minute ago. Should we just roll it?
Yeah, it looks like you got a bunch of names on there. Let's roll with it. Let me
I
get the
do.
drum roll ready. All right. Good luck, guys.
Oh, it's Noah, isn't it? Noah is
Noah
just getting back into the
Reinhardt.
hobby too. Awesome.
Congratulations, man. You are the winner of the Beta FPV Pavo 30 frame kit. Congratulations, man. That's awesome.
Good timing.
Yeah, that was great. I'm glad that we got a good winner here selected. We throw some confetti out here. Look at that. Congratulations, man. So, all you're going to have to do, Noah, in order to claim your free frame, as long as you're in the U.S., which I'm sure you are, send me an email at emarvel09@gmail.com with your shipping information, and I will have this frame shipped to you, my friend, absolutely free. You don't have to pay 1 penny. Just need your information there. Let's give a hand for Ciotti FPV and the random wheel, man. Awesome, man. Good times. Always love it when the winners are here when they actually win.
Yeah, right.
The wheel knows I need a frame. See, there you go. It worked out perfect. That's awesome, man. Congratulations, Noah. Awesome. Go back to the comments here. So, go back to the, yes. I would like to talk about Flow State, man. How exciting. I saw your cameo on the Flow State film. I watched the whole film. Really enjoyed it, man. I got to tell you, even someone who's been in the hobby for a while, I really enjoyed it. And I think people that don't know anything about FPV will be able to enjoy it. So how was it like to be able to be on set and work on such a great film for the community?
Oddly enough, I don't love having cameras pointed at me. Like here, like in where I live and like my space and my gear and my everything, like for some reason I can do it. Mainly I think because I'm just like hanging out with people in the chat, right?
Yeah.
But like when I leave here, like I don't love I really don't like it. So it's always awkward. And it was, yeah, it was a little bit awkward, but James Christensen is the documentarian. He is SOG Productions, Stroke of Genius Productions. James is like 98% of this documentary. Like we are so lucky to have him. We're so lucky that he found and became obsessed with FPV like us 4 or 5 years ago, and did this. Like it's just such a gift because, I mean, it's almost like he is almost 1,000 hours into this. I mean, it's just
Wow.
why, and he will be like because he continues to work, right? He continues to try to get it into film festivals, onto Netflix, onto Hulu, onto Disney, like whatever. Probably not Disney Plus, but so yeah, like we're just so lucky, and he's such a cool guy. He knew who I was, which was like extremely. It was just so cool that he had any idea who I was and knew about the live stream and micros and stuff like that. So yeah, he approached me just like he did with most of the other people that were in there and said, hey, want to have you in it. Let's meet up here, there, everywhere. So for me, it was basically the plan was to have a fly day, and then we would go back to Steele's place and film some interviews. So we had a little fly day at a spot that we call Technicolor here, which is one of my least favorite. It's probably my least favorite spot in all of Atlanta, to be honest. It's just, I don't know what it is. It just doesn't, I just don't like it. Everybody else loves it, but I just don't like it. So that was kind of annoying because, and I was all anxious and flew like hell. So that put me in a sort of a weird place for the interviews, but I mean, you just do it. And it was just like, it was so, and it was just such a cool experience. I'd hung with, so it was a couple guys from out of town. And then it was Steele, Kevin, Stinger Swarm, Bot Grinder was in town. He actually I think he crashed here. And yeah, and it was just it was just a typical fly day, to be honest. And that's that Atlanta footage that he has in there towards the end of the 2-hour version of it. And yeah, it was cool to just like show the way that he edited it down was just perfect, because he just perfectly like encapsulates a day of flying for us, right? That we kind of take for granted in like a 10-minute period, for people to kind of for, you know, like you said, new people to be able to see. And yeah, I mean, it's just wild. He took footage from like everybody and just did such a brilliant job of cutting it down into something that's watchable, and to something that like a normal person can sit down with and pretty much completely understand the magic of FPV. So yeah, I mean, I get asked like almost every day at this point, like, when's it going to be coming out?
Yeah.
I'm like, I have no clue. Like James and Joshua are kind of the, like, it's them. Like they're the only guys that really know that, and they can't say anything. But to be honest with you guys, like, the later the better. Like the longer it takes to come out, the more film festivals James will be able to put it in, and the better chance that it'll have of popping up on on Netflix, like his last documentary did. And you know, even like so did you see it on the Golden Gate website, the online
Yeah, the online.
viewing?
Yep.
Right. So like a lot of people got really upset because we crashed their website and it was hard to kind of see it for a little while, right? But like, that's a really good thing. Like,
Yeah.
that's a really, really, really good thing that we bombed their website. Like that, the fact that we did that to an established website is being talked about, like, in the world of, you know, documentaries and
The demand
content.
is there.
Yeah. So it's super exciting. I have a funny feeling that James will be able to kind of pick where he puts it. And I have a feeling that'll be Netflix, because his last documentary did really well there. And
James's passion is just so prevalent on screen. I mean, you can just, when he talks to the camera, you can hear the passion that he has for this hobby. And what a great inspiration that we have batting and rooting for us in the hobby.
yeah,
I think that's just amazing to see it
yeah,
on screen like that.
he's
Welcome in,
one of us
Adrian
too.
Mateo Drones. Welcome in, my friend. So glad to
He's
see
one of
you.
us.
Dan Richmond, a whole bunch of people came in. I want to make sure I grab everybody. We got, let's see, make sure I got it. We got Chuck at FPV. Welcome in. Good to see you. We got, trying to keep up with the chat tonight, guys. You guys are keeping it a little challenging. What's going on, Brad from Austin River City? Maddie's Drone World. Good to see you, man. Thanks for coming in. We got a couple other people as well. There we go. Glad I hope I didn't miss anybody. But welcome in, guys. I greatly appreciate you being here. Yeah, so I mean, it must have been like just inspirational, like all over again, like working with him on screen. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and I mean, to make it even to make it even more crazy, he actually hired me to do a project with him up in Asheville. He hired me as his pilot. He hired an editing team. A landscaping company wanted a fly through, a one take fly through, and for some strange reason, I was the one to get the phone call to be that pilot.
That's awesome.
That was a couple months ago, I guess about 2 months ago, that I got to do that. And that was that was really fun too, because I got to see the director side of James a little bit more. And I got to, you know, work for him and take direction from him. You know, like when you're doing interviews, I mean, it's just you answer the questions, right? And you try not to look like too much of an idiot. Whereas, you know, when you're like working with a director, and see, this is the other thing too, right? Most of the work that I did, the cinematic work that I did over the summer was, not most of it, all of it, was with directors that had never worked with an FPV pilot before. So like, for those people, like, anything that you do absolutely melts their brain. So like, you don't really get much direction. You just get like, oh my God, that's great. Can you do that again? Or like, oh my God. So to work with James and like to have him like actually give me specific direction and like It was just kind of next level. He's just such a visionary dude.
Absolutely. And the way he told the story, I mean, it just made perfect sense. I love how you just kind of get thrown into it and you're just like, "Whoa, this is wild." And then it kind of slows back down and says, "Okay, this is how all this come to be about." And that was really really interesting to me to see, the very early days of FPV and where it all came from and how much it's evolved. Oh, I mean, just a great storytelling.
Yeah, yeah. I can't imagine it being done any better. To be, and I mean that's like a crazy thing to say, but like I really kind of can't. And I was a film major back in college 20 years ago, and I've been a fan of film here and there ever since. So it's like I have somewhat of an educated opinion, and he just nailed it. I mean, he just absolutely nailed it. He kept the flow going. That's what you saw, and it's looking like what will eventually live on is the second cut of it. The first version of it was actually 3 hour-long episodes, and he played that at Rampage in like the 40-degree weather. So not many people made it to the end of that, and I that's not why he recut it. He recut it because it was going into a theater for the private screening here in Atlanta. And then, but I think that the feedback that he got and the feedback that I gave him on the 2 hour edit is this is the one, dude. Like it really, really, really works. Even though it's tough. Like a lot of times you don't want to go right up to 2 hours, but I mean, it's FPV, right? And like we've got plenty of amazing filmmaking from us flying GoPros around on little toy helicopters to
And
fill
there's
that
so
time.
much to cover. I mean, where it started, where it's been, and then something even more important that I really was so glad that they incorporated in there was the FAA and the remote ID and the NPRM protest,
Yeah,
which I was like, yes, let's get this on the big screen. Let's show how this can completely just kill this awesome, amazing hobby that we've got the viewers like, wow, this is so cool. I
right.
love how they just presented it in that way, and then boom, this can all go away if this goes through, and we need your support. We need the support not only if you fly FPV drones, but if you fly any kind of RC model aircraft, we need your help. So I love how it kind of incorporated that, and the transitioning and the timing of all of it just felt just just right.
Yeah, that protest came at a really good time, like because James had already started filming, and it was just kind of perfect. And then James was actually talking to Joshua during the the Golden Gate screening after party or whatever, about how you have to have drama, like just right. If you're going to make something that's going to be watched by more than 1,000 people, like there has to be drama involved, right? So like one option that he had was to focus on the drama within FPV, right? Who hates who, which company screwed over which pilot, stuff like that. But luckily with the FAA stuff, that was able to be the drama. And for our FPV community comes off looking like we all love each other, which for the most part we do, right? But I mean, there is for sure obviously drama. But yeah, he was able to not focus on that, which is great because it looks like it makes us look like we're not petty jerks. And we're able to blame the government for everything, which we're great at here in Cheeseburger Land. So
There's drama in every hobby. I don't care what hobby you got. There's always going to be some kind of drama.
for
It's
sure.
just the nature of the beast, the nature of mankind. It's just the way it is. Drama keeps us interested, keeps things, keeps you on your toes. So,
For sure.
welcome in, Sean Brooks. Good to see you, man. Thanks so much for stopping in. Awesome, man. So glad to hear about your experience there, and I'm glad that you're continuing to work with Michael. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's wild.
I
It really is
bet.
wild. It's like it slowed down a lot with the weather, which is kind of worrying. But like before that, I mean, it was just this like 4 month period of like, hold on. Like, and I felt like I was just holding on to like a railing in a hurricane, and it was just blowing me like.
I bet.
So I'm hoping next year it turns into that again, because that was a fun few months there.
Oh, yeah. Welcome in, Family Guyver, man. Hey, just to let you know, buddy, I got your package. It's going to be going out in the mail this week. Sorry for the delay. I don't want to bum out the mood or anything, but I'll go ahead and let you know that my father did pass away Friday peacefully in his sleep. So things have been a little bit upside down for me, so I didn't get a chance to get that mailed out, but I will definitely have that mailed out to you this week. I got it already packed up, boxed up, ready to go. So just wanted to let you know about that. But yeah, it's been a little bit of a roller coaster this weekend, but I greatly appreciate all your guys' support. Everybody that's contacted me on Facebook to say a prayer and the condolences. I greatly appreciate that, guys, during this difficult time. I really do. So thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate that, Sean. Thank you, guys. So we're getting towards the end. I want to go ahead and let you guys also know, if you haven't checked them out yet, make sure you go check out. It's going to be tonight, I believe, Sunday nights. Optimized Drone, guys. Check them out at GankMultirotors.com. Live on Sundays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you guys get over there, show some love. Great group of guys over there. Dan Parkinson wanted me to give you a special shout out there, Ciotti. Want to tell you Dan Parkinson said hi. Nice. Over at Optimize. And then every Friday night, make sure you check out the Drone Network, MD95TSI and Crystal Justice. Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Go on over there, have a great time. Got an awesome live stream with exciting things to come on his channel as well. And every other Wednesday when the kids are in bed, check out the FPV NoobTube for some late night shenanigans. You never know what's going to unfold over there at the old FPV NoobTube. Hump Day, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Alrighty, got my plugs out of the way. Thanks for that.
Eric, you're a beast for being able to do this after that, man. I'm so sorry to hear that. That's really tough.
I really appreciate that, Aaron. Thank you so much. I had thought about canceling it, but honestly, I want to just keep my mind going, and having you on was really important to me, and I really wanted my following to be able to get that one-on-one connection with you. So I do greatly appreciate you being on, and I appreciate the condolences as well. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and open it up for Q&A for Ciotti and myself and anybody in the chat. If you guys have any questions, I know I saw some earlier, please feel free to put it down in the live chat, and we're going to try to make sure we get to everybody. Who's in charge? Well, Ciotti's in charge tonight because he's a special guest.
He's in charge.
Yes. I think let's see if I can find that question from earlier. I believe it was Optimized Drone had asked a question. See if I can find it up here. Yeah, real quick, I just want to say that, the love of flight came from my father, so I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be the man I am today without my father. So, rest in peace to my dad, and no more pain, And he was into the helicopters, like you were talking about. You got into the helicopters. He built one of those helicopters, man. It took him like days to build this thing. He had it in the air for must have been like 10 seconds. Something went wrong, ended up coming down, shattered it to 100 pieces, and I just saw his heart sink, and I'm just like, oh, but that was so cool for the 10 minutes it was in the air. It was so cool, so build it again, build, crash, send, repeat.
Yeah, right. I found that optimized question.
Oh, sweet.
Optimized Drone says, Ciotti, tell me what we've been working on build-wise recently, anything special in the works. 3-inch rigs, 3-inch freestyle rigs, actually. I'm pretty deep into trying to figure out the best. These are Ripsqueaks 3 and 4, and then these are Ripsqueaks 1 and 2. So I've got 4 4 of these damn things, and I'm just really trying to dial in on how you can carry an the lightest possible, but still like still good enough HD where it's like watchable, right? Like not GoPro quality, right? GoPro Hero quality is kind of out the window, but the Runcam Hybrid and the Insta360 Go 2, and to some extent the DJI Action 2, how do we put these cameras up in the air in a freestyle setting with the lightest possible rig, but at the same time get the 5-inch flight dynamics? And like trying to balance all those things is harder than you'd think. It's starting to look like the really the right setup is going to be a Runcam hybrid with either like a 1504 or a 1306, but that's what I'm trying to figure out with these 4 rigs. When you shrink down from 5-inch to 3-inch, the lack of weight kills the momentum to do like off throttle throws. So one of the ways to get around that is to add weight. But then what happens pretty quickly when you're adding weight to a 3-inch prop rig is that it gets too heavy and it starts to, so you start to get the fling, you start to get the off throttle fling back, but it falls out of the sky like a sack of hammers when it gets really heavy, because the prop area, the technical term is disc loading, but the prop area is a parachute, right? When you come off the throttle, however much momentum it has is going to get offset by how big it is. The bigger it is, the bigger the parachute. So you look at like a toothpick, right? A toothpick is the same area as this, right? It's 3-inch props, a little bit smaller of a body, but a toothpick is going to weigh sub 100 grams a lot of times. And when you come off the throttle with a toothpick, they just float forever, right? So they float, and they take forever to come down, but you don't get any horizontal throw. So there's a balance that I'm trying, and the balance that I'm going for is the 5-inch freestyle balance, because that's what we all fly, right? That's like the best, whatever flying rig. So yeah, the big project for the most of the year has been really dialing this in. And I mean, you could almost say that I've kind of been doing that from the start. But more specifically now, we've got some really nice frames and some really nice motors to play with to actually get this thing done. So that's really been the thing that I've been working on the most at the moment. And I'm pretty close. I mean, I played some flight footage from these guys on my stream today, and like, it's starting to actually get hard to tell the difference between these and a 5-inch rig. If you take out the fact that the Runcam Hybrid doesn't look quite as good as a GoPro Hero 8, but I fly Session 5s, which don't look that great anyway. So like the Runcam Hybrid almost looks as good as the Session 5. So like at a small, tight technical location, a rig like this almost starts to look like a 5-inch. It's really, really wild.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
To be able to do it for sub-ish 250 grams. I actually like the way that they fly at like 260, 270 grams, I'm starting to think. But, I mean, we're not running prop guards on them anyway, so technically we're outside of it. 250 doesn't technically matter without prop guards or ducts, so whatever, 260 is fine.
Yeah. Hey, welcome in, Matt Gankman, Gank FPV. Good to see you, brother. Thanks for stopping in. Oh, my sound effects were a little glitch there. Make sure I get you a full applause there. Good to see you, man. Thanks so much for coming in. RC Ritter FPV, welcome in. And let's see, did you see the next question there? I thought I may have saw it. Let me see here. I believe it was Double A. He said, would you think to come and hang out with us at the I.O. 2022?
I meant to get to I.O. this year, but I just completely, this year's been a little bit of a nightmare with the divorce and whatnot, but.
Sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah.
I've been there as well.
I'm not anymore.
Yeah, I hear you. I was the same way.
Yeah, for sure. Next year is going to be a much smoother year for me. And yeah, I got to get to IO. IO is like the one big event that I haven't really been to yet. So
Same here, and I
I should
will
get
be
there
there
this
this year, guys, or next year, guys. I will be there,
Awesome.
tent and all. Awesome. RC Ritter asks, you try a AOS 3.5 and a FPV Cycle 16 millimeter frame yet, Ciotti?
I have not. I think he's talking about the FPV Cycle 16 mil motors. What are they? 16. I think they're 1606. They're either 1606 or 1605.
Oh, okay. The
Bob,
motors for the AOS. I got you.
yeah, I've been friends with Bob for a long time. So like I knew about those motors probably like 6 months ago. And I was really excited about them. And then when they came out, at the bottom of the description on the website, he says these motors are very notchy and very powerful. And notchy motors plus HD cameras is a really bad combination. Basically, it just creates jello that is almost impossible to get out. So I won't be trying those. I just don't even bother putting motors onto a rig that are notchy, or Kagi is the actual technical term for it. Because I know that I'm going to put an HD cam on and then I'm just going to have a struggle with jello. It also puts more vibes into the gyro and it becomes harder to tune. You can't get as good of a tune on it, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, you won't see the 16 mil motors for me, unfortunately. The AOS 3.5 frame is really interesting. I probably also won't try that frame, mainly because the Acrobrat frame is an A-arm frame. Each motor is held on by a split arm design, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And what I found with the Acrobrat is that takes, so that, you know, normally you would have a nice big thick arm and then you break it in half. Well, that works for collisions like when you flat bottom, right? And when you load the arm up in the upwards or the downwards direction. But I tend to crash into, like, I fly all office parks here in Atlanta, so I tend to hit like poles and brick and shit like that, and I hit those up here. So I send the force in this direction, and when that single arm is now a double arm, it's half as strong. So you just break. So with the Acrobrat frame, I would just over and over and over again, I would break that front part of the A arm. With the AOS 3.5, it is a removable arm. So it's like, yeah, well, so you just change arms more often. And it's like, okay, yeah, kind of. But there's some other things about the frame that I don't love, namely that it's a fixed build height. I don't fly vertical carbon frames because they force you to build at a specific build height. And I almost never, using electronics that are that exact build height. I almost always want a little bit shorter or sometimes a little bit taller. I talked to Chris about it, actually, because the one big problem with the AOS 3.5 for me is it doesn't have enough build height for a run cam hybrid, which is really the camera that I prefer. So I'd asked him a while ago about maybe making a version of it that's a little bit taller, and he said he'd think about it. And he's been super busy. So,
okay.
But yeah, it's a great frame as long as you're okay in that, like doing his recommended build, basically. And as long as you're not going to be sending metal poles or, street signs or concrete, like dead
not
center
be
on the
bashing
rig.
and thrashing it real heavy.
Yeah, because that one single, like the one thing that the single arm design does better is take hits in this direction, right? And like for me, the way that I fly, the locations that I fly, that's a common kind of thing. For somebody that flies over the grass, primarily, they don't have to worry about that. The AOS is probably going to be a much better frame for them because it fights vibrations a lot better because of the A-arm design. Any twisting vibrations are going to get put into both of those points rather than just twisting a single point. So for people that aren't crashing like I'm crashing, the AOS 3.5 is a great frame.
Absolutely. I want to put this up here from Free Range Chicken FPV. Welcome in, by the way. He wanted to let you know how much he appreciates you. He wants to thank you for all you've done to help him stay in the hobby and your honesty as well. You do great things for the flying community. Absolutely. We do appreciate you so much, Ciotti, for all the time that you put in and all your effort and helping people. That's what it's all about, man. Helping people and keeping people in the air.
It's well worth it.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate
Yeah,
you.
it is absolutely well worth it.
Let's see here. I know we got another question here. I believe Gank FPV said he is waiting for you to try the Nemesis HD Micro 3-inch.
That's right. I'm gonna open that up in a tab right now.
There you go. Gank actually sent me one as well, and I can't wait. I'm gonna be building it out this winter, and I am super excited about it. He's told me that he's all the frames he's sold, he has yet to receive any complaints about broken arms. It's a really solid what do you call it? The uniplate or the
Unibody, yeah.
unibody bottom plate, and it's really solid, man. Really solid frame. I can't wait to fly it.
Awesome. Gank, make a removable arm version. I'm telling you. It's the answer. It's the answer. I operate under the principle of I would rather change an arm than a motor. With micro motors, most of them have 2mm motor shafts down below the bell, and that's the most common failure on micro motors. And so for me, I really try to stick with removable arm frames that have arms that are going to break before the motor. That's what I love about that's why I'm so diehard on the glide frame. The glide frame, for me, the way that I build them at 605 grams all up, and the way that I crash and the way that I fly, it is the perfect mix of like, it'll take abuse, but then if I put it into a situation where it would have broken the motor, the arm breaks. And that's exactly what I want. And I've been on the hunt. The Ripsqueak is the closest that I've found to that, but it's still not, there's always room for improvement. So I would love this Nemesis frame as a removable arm.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's like removable arms become like a kind of a requirement for me, if I'm honest. I'm a little bit.
I've always been a fan of the individual arms as well. But this particular frame, he did go a little bit thicker on the on that bottom plate. He did have one break reported from Danish Stallion, so we did have one that broke. So it's definitely not unbreakable. But I would fair to say that it's pretty freaking durable. That he sold as many as he sold, and had his first break reported just here recently.
Yeah, that's legit.
Absolutely,
that's legit.
I love the way it looks too. It just has that kind of a aggressive stance, and I love the motor protection that he's got on the arms. That's really cool.
Yeah, that was something that I talked to him about about a year ago, I guess. Was like, hey, any chance you can put a little more motor protection on? And I explained that, like micro motors are fragile and blah 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 blah. So I love that motor protection. That's another like big thing for me is proper motor protection. The Glide has these devil horns on the end of the arms, which do an amazing job at protecting the motor. So yeah, that like when I'm looking at a frame, if there's not enough motor protection, like it's just instantly like I'm not interested.
Yep, I hear you on that. Motors get expensive.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, TJ Drones and More says, hey, Ciotti, are you going to come to the Florida Drone Meetup in April?
This is the first I'm hearing about it. TJ, send me the info. I'll try to make it down. April is my birthday month.
Nice.
So maybe I'll treat myself to a birthday present. Come down, hang out. I've been meaning to get down to Florida and visit Erod and the Rotor Riot guys. So, yeah, I'd love to.
There you go. Hey, welcome in, Mystery D. Good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping in. See if we have any. Oh, he says, okay, TJ asks, Ciotti, do you fly camera drones at all? Very interesting.
So I flew a Mavic way back when, like back probably 4 years ago, when I had just started to fly micros, when I just got in the Baby Hawk. I was probably a couple months into flying the Baby Hawk. And a buddy of mine from back when I was super into motorsports and Miatas and Mustangs and whatnot, he came down to visit, and I flew his Mavic from the passenger seat to get some rolling shots of his car.
Nice.
And I remember it being like kind of really fun. But then he went, he left, and like I have never been able to justify spending $1,000 on a photography drone. I probably should, But I, yeah, I'm on a, like, I've always been on a pretty tight budget, like in life and and in FPV. And yeah, I mean, it's a lot of money for something that, like, when I'll buy one, when there's a chance, when there's like a gig. Because like they're so easy to fly anyway. It's like I can just go to Best Buy and just get one of the damn things and set it up with a YouTube video and be good to go, right? So
Oh
that's
yeah,
probably when I'll end up buying one, is when there's a gig that's gonna pay, that needs one, and then it's like, all right,
right.
cool. But I'm not just gonna spend $1,000 to have it sit here. Like, I've known so many people in FPV who do that. They spend $1,000 on one and they're like, oh, this is gonna be great, and they use it once or twice and then it just sits and it just doesn't get used. So like, for me to spend that kind of money on something, like, it's gotta be, it's gotta be a working rig.
Yeah, that's mainly what I use my Mavic Air 2 for, is mainly for Part 107 jobs, construction shots and videos, stuff like that for customers. I do like to take it to my meetups and get some cinematic footage and make some little cool cinematic edits as well, just to kind of break it up. Because sometimes, it's nice to have, some FPV and then some camera drone stuff and just kind of mix it up. But I have seen some people pull it off where they actually can combine the camera drone footage with the FPV and do some really cool stuff with that.
Yeah, yeah, I love that, and that's a part of the draw for me. But I when I'm realistic with myself, I'm like, I'm so behind on editing. Like I have such a hard time finding time for editing. I'm also very burned out on editing, to be honest. Like,
I hear you.
I was a film major 20 years ago, and I did video, and I've been doing video editing ever since. And like, there was a bunch of years where I didn't do any because I never wanted to do it again. And like with FPV, I kind of got back into it a little bit. But the burnout for me, the editing burnout happens really quick. So when I'm real with myself, it's like, well, let's not do this because that's pulling more footage off of a different camera that's going to have to get color corrected differently. That's going to, and it's just this snowball of time.
Uh huh.
So yeah,
It is. It can be very time consuming. Editing can definitely be daunting sometimes.
for
I've
sure.
been there as well, and I decided that I was going to set realistic expectation for myself, since I basically do it like part time on the side kind of thing. I've got a regular, day job Monday through Friday, and I do all the FPV stuff in my spare time and on weekends and stuff like that. And I just decided, you know what? I'm getting to a point now where I'm just going to do a weekly upload, keep it consistent. One video a week, I think I can manage that to keep it consistent, not burn myself out. Because you can, man. Like, if you try to like daily upload or 3-4 videos a week, I mean, you will burn yourself out quick.
Yep. Yeah, I mean,
So,
we've watched it, right? Anybody that's been in this hobby for more than like the last year has seen a huge shift in content creators, right? I mean, everybody either burned out or started working professionally, and like, even the ones that started working professionally, like, they burned out. Like there's a, even though they're working on big projects now, there's still time for them to fly freestyle. They could still do freestyle edits, and most of them don't.
that's
Um,
right.
it's just, it's just extremely time consuming. I've known editors for the last 20 years that like come into it, they go nuts with it for 4 or 5 years, and then they're just like, I can't do this anymore. I can't just sit alone and stare at a laptop for 8 hours a day anymore.
Hey, thanks for stopping in Geppetto's Lab. I greatly appreciate you swinging by tonight. Greatly appreciate you, man. So I actually have a question for you as well. I saved a question for you till the end. So, have you got a chance to try the new DJI Action 2 camera, and what are your thoughts?
I haven't. Uh, it's not. I've watched a bunch of reviews comparing it to the Insta360 Go 2, and it just isn't good enough. It's just not. It's not enough better. I can't think of how to word this, but it's not. It's not better. It's not that much better than the Insta360 Go 2. It's a little bit better, for sure. It's a little bit better, and it does 120 frames at 4K, which is rad. But for actual work, it's not good enough. Like for
Right.
somebody that's going to be using my flying to mix in with RE red DSLR censored footage, it's not good enough for that, right? That it has to be a GoPro. Even the GoPros aren't good enough, but they're the best that we can really get. So it won't work for cinematic stuff. And then you start talking about like freestyle flying. It might work for that. It might be a really good option for 5-inch or even 4-inch freestyle, but we don't know about the durability yet, and it's really expensive. It's $400, right? And I don't think you can buy it at Best Buy yet, or can you? No, you can buy it at Best
You
Buy. You
can
can
buy
buy
it
it
at
at Best
Best
Buy,
Buy, and they
so you
also
can
have the
get
DJI Care refresh for it as well,
right.
which you
So you
better get
can
if you're going to be strapping it on anything.
right. So technically it is invincible, right? Technically you can just do Geek Squad repair, swap outs over and over and over again. Um, but I don't know. The other thing that gets me is that the field of view is actually a little bit too wide, which is wild because it's only 155 field of view, and the GoPros are 150 field of view. So like it's not that much different. But I think the problem is there's like a different lens distortion
Uh-huh.
with it,
Yeah.
because like the freestyle footage that I've seen with it, um, just doesn't look as good. I just don't think it looks as good as a session or a hero. And sessions are coming down in price a little bit on eBay, so they're a little bit less than $200 again, and they're just like bomb proof. I mean, you don't even
Yeah.
need the replacement plan because they're just incredibly durable. So like, I just like, what's it for? Like what's like the use for it? I can't figure that out. I can't figure out what the use for that thing is,
I think if
other
they had
than maybe if you really want to carry it. Somebody asked me in my stream today if one camera for a 5-inch rig and a 3-inch rig. And I think maybe that's it. I think maybe that's the use, because a 5-inch rig with an Insta360 Go 2 is kind of silly. And you know what I mean? So like I think that would be it. I think if you had to have one camera for a 5-inch and a 3-inch rig, I think that's it. And that's kind of cool. Like if I
yeah.
could start all over again, I might do that, right? That's a fantastic little setup. One camera, 4K, up to 120, 5-inch rig, 3-inch rig. That's a fantastic little hanger of quads. You know what I mean?
I think if they had launched it last year before the peanut, I think it would have done way better in the FPV community.
I
I
agree.
just feel like it came a little late. People have been waiting and waiting for that new, session 10 to come out that we still haven't seen yet. I went ahead and picked it up just because I love the session 5 so much, and now it has basically been it's still in the GoPro Plus program. However, when you trade it in, you no longer have the option to get a refurbished Session 5 back. You now get a GoPro 8 for the $69 exchange fee, which is still great.
Right.
I'll take a GoPro 8 all day long for my Session 5s. That's fine.
Right. Right.
But the cameras from GoPro just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And what happens when they stop having the GoPro 8? Now we're stuck with the GoPro 9, and you can just see how it just keeps getting honking bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So I just said, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go ahead and support DJI on this one, because they finally put something out that we at the FPV community have been asking for GoPro for so long. And DJI stepped up and said, okay, well, we've got this. Granted, it does have its flaws. It does have it is a system, right? Like, it's not just a camera; it's a system.
Yeah.
And you have to, there's going to be a full video on my channel soon, guys. So make sure you stay tuned for that. It'll be a full review on it coming up. But it's a system, and you have to kind of plan for that when you're using it for FPV. But totally, I don't think it's out of the question whatsoever that if someone was looking to replace their GoPro Session 5s with this camera, I think you could definitely do it. There's so many different ways too that you can mess with the footage. It does have 4:3 aspect ratio as well, so you can do the dynamic stretch in post to make it a little bit more of a super view-ish look.
Sure. Do you
So
still have a Session 5 by chance?
I have one left.
So you know what nobody has done on YouTube?
What's that?
Comparison of an Action 2 to a Session 5. At least I haven't been able to find it.
That's what I want to do.
And that's the comparison, right?
Yeah, I'm basically gonna tape it to the top of my
Nice.
Action 2 mount with some electrical tape and just send it.
Rad.
That way everything is like, the same. It's the same flight. You can really see the difference in the super view, field of view versus the DJI Action wide. I think the DJI Action to the widest field of view is too distorted. It's just too much. I like the wide field of view, which is a step down from the widest. I feel like that's the closest to the super viewish look for me.
Yep. And the only problem that I agree 100%. And then my problem is that when you put it on wide, it's not using the whole sensor.
Right.
So like we're already bitching about the quality, and then it's like, well, now let's use even less of the sensor and make that even worse. So it's kind of like, oh Christ. But again, at the same time, I'm willing to bet that on wide, using less of the sensor, it still looks just as good as or better than a Session 5. At which point, there's no reason for a Session 5 because, Geek Squad protection plan.
Right. I think it's going to be a viable option for some pilots. All pilots, no. Is this going to replace the GoPro 8s and above? I don't think so. I don't think that's who this camera's for. This camera's for someone looking for smaller form factor on the top plate, right? Somebody wants something a little more aerodynamic, lighter weight.
Yep.
I think a 3-inch, it would actually be a really good fit on some 3-inch frames. Definitely.
Yeah. 3.5 especially. The weight, what is it, 56 grams? 56
about
grams
57 grams. Mm-hmm.
That's a bit too much payload for a 3-inch prop if you're trying to do like full-blown freestyle with good float. But 3.5 or 4-inch, that's actually the right weight. Like when you look at like the payload for us is the camera. It's the only thing that doesn't do anything, right? The HD camera is all that we're carrying that's not doing a job. So like, we've got 100 grams, let's say 80 to 120 for the session to the heroes, right? For GoPros. So we've got 5-inch rigs have been specifically built around 80 to 120 grams of payload, right? And then so we've got all the way on the other side of the spectrum, we've got like the RunCam Hybrid, which is 13 grams. So that's really good for like a 2.5-inch or even a 3-inch rig. And then we've got the Insta360 Go 2, which is 26 grams, right? So that's kind of perfect for like 3-inch rigs. And then, so like one of the reasons that 4-inch has been in no man's land is like, what's it for? It's too much propeller to carry a Go 2 or a Go 1 or a RunCam Hybrid, but it's not enough to carry a Hero or a Session. So like the DJI camera is like perfect. I've been bitching about this for like 6 months. Like we need a camera that's 40 grams or 50 grams. And everybody's like, oh, well, there's the RunCam Box 5. It's like, don't buy that. Don't. It's terrible. Like, there are a bunch, but none of them are any good. So it's like really exciting that we've got a good, okay, it's not as good as a Hero, or it's not as good, but it's still a really, really, really good camera at a really good weight. So I'm actually like really, I'm not going to get one, but I'm really excited to see who does and who flies it really hard and makes some really cool stuff with it.
Yeah, I'm definitely anxious to do some durability testing, to say the least, to see what this thing can actually take.
That's the other thing I'm really interested in, because if you're constantly replacing it, it's worthless to me.
Yeah, and I think the mounts are going to get better. The longer it's out, we're going to get more innovative mounts. I was able to find a 3D printed mount for my reverb frame, and it actually utilizes the ND filters as well, the camera butter ones.
Nice.
So that's going to give me that extra layer of protection to hopefully not break that glass as easy on the actual DJI camera.
Right.
So that I think that's exciting, just that we're already innovating mounts for this camera to make it more durable.
Yeah, totally.
Let's see. TJ says, hope to see you in Florida. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. And Mike, I greatly appreciate that as well. Thank you so much. I appreciate the kind words. Um, we got a question from Ciotti FPV. What whoop are you taking to Tennessee?
I only have two, so I'm giving I have three that are up right now. One of them is a giveaway tomorrow night.
Sweet.
And then the other, oh, you know what? I have these two brushed ones. I'll bring them as well. I'll bring them all. It'll be the 65 mil Insta 360 Go 1 carrier, and then it'll be the 75 millimeter Insta 360 Go 2 carrier. And you know what? That's what I'll do instead, because I don't like racing non-cars. It's just not fun to me. So what I'll do is I'll fly HD cameras around all night in my heat and get HD footage of the racetrack. That'll be fun, and everybody winging past me.
That'll be really awesome. Link to Ciotti FPV's YouTube channel is down in the video description. Make sure you go check him out. He's going to be doing some awesome giveaways as well, guys, in the community. So make sure you're subbed up. Smash that like button. Greatly appreciate it. So I got another question for you, because I've been kind of curious about this as well. How durable in your findings is the Insta360 Go or the Caddx Peanut camera?
It didn't start off well. So I waited to buy the Insta360 Go 2 very specifically until someone offered physical damage protection other than Insta360, because guys in the chat had Insta360 Go 2s that were like 3 months deep in Insta360's replacement plan. And I mean, that's totally worthless for me. So I waited and waited and waited and waited, and finally Best Buy put it up on their website, and you can get the Geek Squad protection plan on it, right? So that was like a month and a half ago, maybe like 2 months ago. So I took it out. I finally take it out. First battery, I blew it up. It was a pretty bad hit. And I had it in a mount. I had it in this mount, which doesn't really protect it, right? Like it just kind of holds it. There's no real actual protection. The mount that I'm flying it in now is a fully protected mount, right? So in this mount, on a pretty good hit, it blew up on the first hit.
Right.
And since then, take it back to Best Buy, new one. They had to mail it to me, so it's a week turnaround time, which is way better than 3 months. This one, I had it out. I've had it out in this mount, and this mount has taken some actual abuse, and it's been totally fine. And like the GoPros are the same way. When you smack a GoPro directly into the pavement, it's game over. Even the session, it cannot take that kind of like shock load like that. It generates probably thousands of G's in that like really quick hit. But
I killed a 7 in one hit. It was a free fall from about, I'd say, 25 feet.
Right.
And it landed directly on the corner. Dead.
Right.
Completely.
Right.
Camera won't come on. It's completely dead.
Yep. Yeah. And so now that it's got a little bit of squishy TPU right in between it and the cement, it's been totally fine. There's not a mark on it. It's not acting weird. In Good fairness, I've probably only put 5 or 6 batteries through it, like in this actual mount. But yesterday, a whole bunch of people came to hang out with Squad, which is a group of awesome pilots here in Atlanta. And I beat the hell out of this thing at State Farm, and it loved it. So it's had a bunch of like proper hard hits now, and it held up. So I'm optimistic.
Yeah, so you would assume that the Caddx Peanut would be about the same on durability as well, pretty much.
Should be the same. Yeah, I mean the case is a little bigger, so if Caddx was smart, they did something with that extra size to make it take hits better.
beefed it up a little bit
I don't know
more
if they
protection
actually
maybe.
did, but it's probably not, less durable than the Insta360 Go 2.
Yeah, that's good to know, man. Appreciate the answer on that. That's always been a question since it is smaller. It's always been a question in my mind. Well, how durable is it? How many hits can it take before it just, quits?
Yeah, it is not.
But
What I do really dig about the Go 2 is that it has that removable lens. That's pretty great. Although these mounts all protect the lens, so I don't think we're ever actually going to break the lens. But it is really nice that they put a replaceable lens on there, specifically also because you can get the screw-on ND filters,
nice.
which is going to really help a lot with Jello in the middle of the day, bright sunlight.
Oh yeah. So I want to do something a little bit special on the stream tonight, guys. This is the first time I've ever done this, but I wanted to do something special for the people that actually hung around after the giveaway, the official giveaway, is over. A lot of people did end up clearing out after the giveaway, but a lot of guys are still in here. So I actually want to do another giveaway right now to someone in the U.S., and I have someone in mind. I've been kind of watching the chat tonight, seeing who's been interacting, who's kind of been here throughout the stream. And Athix FPV, I want to ask you, are you in the U.S.? Because if you are, I would love to send you, absolutely for free, a custom Edrone hat that I just got marketed on my eBay store. So, Athix FPV, if you're interested and you're in the U.S., I would love to send you an Edrone hat.
He
Oh,
is in
thank
the
you,
US.
family. I
Oh, there he
appreciate
is in the
that.
chat.
He says yes. And would you like an Edrone hat? Because not everybody's a hat guy. Some people don't wear hats. I get that. But if you're a hat guy, and he said, heck yeah, awesome, man, awesome. So congratulations, man. Thank you so much for hanging out and supporting even after the official giveaway was over. I want to make sure I blessed you guys. All you got to do is shoot me an email once again with your shipping information, and I will have a custom Edrone hat made up and sent to you. Okay? He said, "I'm sure."
He's been on my streams for a long time. He's a cool cat.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I haven't seen him in here, I don't think, before, but he's been in the entire stream, and he's been interacting in the chat, and I love to see that, man. I love to reward people when they come in and really just, show you that support throughout the whole length of the stream. That really does mean a lot to me, so.
Hell yeah. So many cool people in the live stream chats. It's really such a cool spot.
He said, I'm pantless. Actually, I have my shorts on. Believe it or not, I have my shorts on. I was thinking about it. I was like, man, do I really want to put pants on tonight? But yeah, let's go ahead and do the shorts at least. Hey, they only see us from the chest up, right? We're good.
Right.
I mean, some people wear kilts and kilns. I mean, you just never know what's down there, right? I mean, you never know.
For real.
Love you, Barwell. Awesome,
yeah,
man.
he hasn't worn a sarong in a minute.
I know, it's been a while. I was kind of like thinking he was going to bring it back around, just kind of shake things up.
Right. He probably just got sick of everybody asking about it.
Hey, I say if you're in your home and you're comfortable, who cares, man? Wear whatever you want to wear, whatever makes you comfortable.
No, there is a shark bite behind me. I haven't used it yet, though. They need to come out with a big boy VTX.
Yes, I hear Carl said January. I hear 2022 we're supposed to see the 1 watt big boy.
Yeah, I'd be fine with a 500 watt that doesn't break. The current 500 watt is 2 pinned boards, which is just not durable at all. I'm actually worried that the 1 watt is going to be too big. I think it's going to be 30-30, and I have a feeling it's going to be kind of tall, and I don't think it's going to fit in my build. So I don't know. I really wish they would just do the smallest possible 500 milliwatt and just call it a day, because that's going to work for most people.
I think the biggest problem is Carl just needs like a well-established video transmitter company to just say, hey, I'll take your chips and we'll start to make our own HD0 incorporated VTXs like TBS. TBS will be able to, I think, take the technology and innovate it and just be able to make the form factor that we all want with the quality. You
Yeah.
know, there's conversations just have to be had and agreed upon. And oh, bless you. A Richard, all right, Richard Ferreira. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your
I
name.
massacre his last name every
I'm so
single live stream.
I'm so sorry. He says, "Cheers from Lipson. Good to see you, man. Thanks for coming in."
So happy it's not this way.
Yeah. The 1 watt is a 40 by 40 size with the 30 by 30 mounting. Yep, I did see that, which is fine for a 5-inch frame, maybe a larger 3-inch frame. But I think once you start getting into the smaller 3-inch frames, it's going to be tight. It's going to be real tight.
Yeah, for real.
But I'm excited that even though the bigger companies aren't running with it yet, HD Zero and Carl have just continued to, or I'm sorry, Divimath and Carl has just been continuing to keep pushing and trying to get these products out there, even though that's not his specialty. Carl did say that that's not really his specialty, is not designing the actual hardware that the technology goes into.
Right.
But
real, like, I can't imagine Rush or TBS or Immersion not jumping on this.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it doesn't make any sense that they wouldn't, because like what are you gonna do with 5.8 at this point? Like it's you can't make our analog VTXs any smaller. I mean, you can, but they're kind of at a little bit of a limit. So it's like you gotta do something. So
hey, what's up, Broken Sky FPV, man? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. Greatly appreciate that, brother. Yeah, and that's like the goal of Carl Zhao. The goal, he wants to replace all of the analog companies that are currently now making analog VTXs. He wants them to take his chips and just start making HD Zero video transmitters and just run with it and replace the analog. That way, when people get in the hobby, they got two options: HD Zero or DJI, and it's all digital options.
yeah.
Not that analog's not great, because yes, analog is great. Good analog, good quality components of analog is great. But why not have better? Why not have why not be able to see more? And if more companies put out the technology that Carl has to offer, and he's already offered it several times, the prices would just continue to keep coming down, because the more competitors start to incorporate it, the better the pricing is going to get.
For sure. Yeah.
So.
And the smaller it'll get and the lighter it'll get. And I mean, Sharkbite is super interesting to me because it functions off of it's just much more integrated into our ecosystem or whatever, right? Like it's just you can just put it on the front of your existing Fat Sharks. It's not, you don't have to like the DJI setup with the analog receiver in it. All I've ever heard is that it's awful. And there's a lot of latency and it just doesn't work right and all these problems with it. Whereas like Fat Shark, I mean, it's like you plug it into HDMI, like it's simple, it's easy. You can even, it's not $500. You can just buy the receiver. So like, for me, when I've got like directors or DPs or whatever that are using like this fully wireless review monitor, they can be anywhere they want. They don't have to be standing next to me plugged into my goggles, right? Which is what you have to do on DJI still. And with Fat Shark, you could just piggyback that right into this, and you wouldn't even have to be a monitor with this. It would just be any old monitor with HDMI in. So I mean, it's just a better, in my opinion at least, it's just like it's better suited for what we do. And then you still have your analog setup for your tiny whoops and stuff like that, which realistically are just never going to carry full-blown digital at 25 grams all up or whatever whatever our tiny whoops weigh.
Yeah, and the fact that you're not even limited to just using Fat Shark goggles. Any analog goggle you have that has HDMI input, you can use the, I hate to say it because I want to say Sharkbite, because that was the biggest push in the beginning. But it seems like HD0 is kind of starting to push their own technology now, and it's kind of Fat Shark has kind of gone quiet a little bit, so to
Yeah.
speak, with the whole shark bite. But yeah, you're not even limited to just using Fat Shark goggles. Any analog goggle that has HDMI input, you can use the HD0 technology and potentially pick up a couple of video transmitters, and boom, you are in a couple cameras, obviously too. And now, boom, you can switch over your analog quads to HD and get a better experience. Because I've flown both. I've flown all of them. I've flown DJI, I've flown Sharkbite, and I've flying analog. And I will tell you that, yes, DJI is the best image that you can possibly get, but I really like Sharkbite, and I like the way that Sharkbite HD0 breaks up. It's more similar to analog to me. So when I do switch back and forth between analog and HD with Sharkbite HD0, it's an easier transition, and it's not as much of a shock as like going from DJI to analog. You know what I mean?
That's cool. I haven't actually heard that before. I've never actually set that. So that this Sharkbite and a camera and the original 500 milliwatt VTX was sent to me for review by FPV Exchange, but like it was sent like when I was doing a lot of work, and it was like I couldn't really justify like putting it into anything that was going to have to have me like readjust. So I've just been sort of waiting. And now it's like I might as well wait for the 1 watt VTX. I did pick up. I think I'm going to do a little a rip squeak actually with digital in it to just start kind of playing around with it a little bit.
Oh yeah, that'd be nice.
I'm excited. That should be a fun winter build.
Yeah, I use the Whoop board. Now, I know they're becoming harder and harder to find, but I've been using the Sharkbite little Whoop board in my 3-inch Japilora. So that's completely HD, and that's a ton of fun with that little 3-inch. And I've had some crashes with it, and so far it's been holding up.
200 milliwatt, right?
Yep, 200 milliwatt.
Yeah, I picked up one of those rectangular 20 by 20s.
Yeah, and honestly, the HD is, I would say it's similar. The 200 milliwatt HD from the Whoop board, the HD Sharkbite, is similar to a 600 watt analog VTX output power. If you were to compare the two, yeah, it's not apples to apples. Like 200 milliwatt for HD is not the equivalent to 200 milliwatt analog. If that makes any sense.
Oh, I thought it was 1-to-1.
No, definitely not. I was able to fly it in places where I fly like my 800 milliwatt analog VTXs, and still had decent video.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, you'll find out when you start using it.
Nice. Well, that's cool. That I'll start building one with them, and yeah, damn. Okay.
Yeah, I think you'll really like it. Hey, Mr. Crowley, welcome in, man. Thanks so much for stopping in. He was actually my special guest last week, so good to have you in again in the chat here.
Nice.
Let's see. Steady Eddie FPV. What's up, Edrone? First time watching. Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Love the content. Started on analog this year, and he's converting half his fleet to HD0. Okay. Have a Beta 85 and 2 tiny trainers, and loving it. Awesome, man. Yeah, I think that HD0 can change the FPV the market if the companies would start picking it up and running with it. And I know the chip thing has been a huge problem for all of FPV. The chip shortage has not made anything any easier for anybody. But I would like to see. I would really like to see within the next year, 2 years. I would love to see HD0 coming out from Rush FPV, TBS, AKK, like some of the really big analog VTX manufacturers. I would love to see them incorporate HD0 and start designing their own VTXs around the HD0 technology. That would be amazing.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing that kind of makes it a little bit more difficult for me is that, like, if I'm going to switch, I have to go all in. Like, I can't have half my rigs on one, half on the other, because there's just an adjustment, and I try to not have any adjustment. Like, so for like, and this is why, like, I get a lot of shit for not like trying ELRS or Tracer or Ghost. and it's like, it's not that easy for me. Like for me to do that, like I have to buy like 10 of them, and I have to then do the work to swap them into like almost 10 different rigs. And with VTXs and cameras that are HD, that's like over $1,000. So like it's a
Yeah.
little bit different for me, which is why I'm like, I've been kind of hesitant with it. But man, I hope that exactly what you're saying happens, because it's, I don't know.
The
DJI is
prices,
too like locked in.
yeah, and the prices right now, yes, they are a little high, but you have to remember that this is still a growing technology that's still innovating. It's not being mass produced at this point. So you're gonna pay a little bit more. But I know that Carl is selling this as cheap as he possibly can,
Yeah.
and not putting himself upside down to get this out here. So, I would say if you want to jump on board and ride the train, that is exactly what it is. You're on a train ride. The destination, I think, is going to be great, but you have a little bit of a ride before we get there.
Yeah, I agree.
Hey, welcome in, June Loco 619. What did you miss? You missed Athix FPV winning a custom Edrone hat because he stuck around for the entire duration of the stream, and I decided, you know what, let's go ahead and bless somebody who's been here and was hanging out, and I picked him, and yeah. So just be tuned, stay tuned for that, guys. You never know what's going to happen on the stream. I like to keep you guys on your toes. Absolutely. And we've been just talking about just all kinds of FPV stuff. We've talked about Flow State. We've talked about Ciotti FPV and how he got started in the hobby. Let's go ahead and get ready to close it out with what are your upcoming plans for your channel, Ciotti? What's on the horizon for you?
For the channel, a little bit more product review kind of stuff. I don't really get sent anything's for review, and I can't necessarily afford to buy most of this stuff like when it first comes out.
Oh yeah.
So doing reviews has always been a little bit difficult for me, but Kebab hasn't done propeller reviews in a long time, so I'm going to try to start doing propeller reviews again. I need to find something, because if with the weather, if I'm not going to have cinematic gigs, I do need to kick the channel in its ass a little bit. So yeah, hopefully some more review kind of stuff, because that's really what gets the views at this point. Like FPV flight edits just really, that was a 2018 2019 thing. It's really not the way to build a channel, unfortunately, anymore, unless you're really 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 committed. And then I don't know, it's an awful lot of time editing to try to then do it that way. So I think more review kind of stuff. And then, yeah, I mean, it's for me, the main thing has always been the piloting side. So like, I love having the channel. I love having the live streams, but the goal for me is to be a pilot, to be a cinematic FPV pilot. And to, really spend the majority of my time on that. The channel ain't going anywhere. The live streams ain't going anywhere. But my main focus is on that. Like my main focus is not being famous, not, blowing up the YouTube channel and having a 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 subscribers. Like I don't look at that stuff. Like I just focus on like, and this has kind of come from like the folks in the chat. Like I've asked the folks in the chat time and time again, like, what do you guys want? What do you guys want to see me do? And like 9 times out of 10, it's like the answer I get is do what you want to do, because that's what we love and that's where your passion is.
Yeah.
And that's like what we want to watch. So like it's like one of the most flattering things ever to be told that, right? Like, hey, what do you want me to do? Nothing. Just do exactly what you want to do. Like, oh, well, Jesus, okay.
Yeah, because it's your channel. Like, do what you do that makes it unique. That it's your channel.
Right.
So many get kind of hyped
right?
into like, oh, I want to do like this guy or like this guy, and it's like, no, it's your channel. It's YouTube.
Yep.
Do what you do, and do what you love. And guess what? You will find followers that love what you do, not what so and so does, but what you do.
Yeah,
So
totally. And
that's awesome.
that's, I mean, like top to bottom, my approach is like whatever I'm passionate about this week, that's what I'm going to kind of lean more on. If that's trying to figure out how to move an Insta360 Go 2 around on a 75 millimeter tiny whoop, let's go. And it's, it's always kind of been like based on that, like just make good stuff. And then like, it's not fun for me to do marketing, right? It's not fun for me to like do these clickbaity things or like, you know, do any of these things basically that make people want to come watch. It's way more fun for me to just do the things and just to make good stuff. And if you do that for a while, if you make really good stuff for a while, people will find you and they will come. And like, there is a little bit of a balance, and I'm probably off on one side of the balance. I probably need to do a little bit more marketing kind of stuff. But this is what's working. So 90% of it is going to be like sticking with what I do and what I love and just focusing on good quality stuff rather than quantity of people or subs or any of that stuff.
Absolutely.
So, and it also helps with quite frankly, my mental health. It's not
Yeah.
great for my mental health to be looking at subscribers, to be looking at all that stuff. And so I just don't.
It's a tough gig. It really is. It can eat you up and spit you out in a heartbeat. And I am one that always believes that you really never truly get out of YouTube what you put in it ever. And I don't care if you have 100,000 subscribers or if you have 100 subscribers. You'll never get out of it what you put in it. So just remember that, guys.
Yeah.
You can work your freaking butt off. You're never going to get out of it what you put into it. At the end of the day, do what you love to do. Do what you're passionate about. And the following will come. Now, how much of a following, that's going to depend. But, you can't base it off of just that alone, especially now. It's actually been shown that less people are subscribing to the channels they love, but they're interacting more. They're in the chat more. They're hitting the like button more. So that's why you're hearing a lot of us content creators be like, hey, make sure you hit that subscribe button because we realized that like 35% of you aren't even sub, but you watch me all the time. That's why. It's just kind of getting to a point where people just watch, and YouTube's kind of help push that and make it easier for people to just watch even though you're not subbed. So, yeah, I think it's great what you do, Ciotti, and yeah, you can never base anything off of numbers, man. Never base anything off of that. You're great in this hobby. You help out so many people. You've been a huge inspiration to so many. And I don't care if you have 100 subscribers. I'd still want you to be on my show just because of what you do.
I appreciate it, man. That's super kind of
Absolutely.
you to say.
Yeah. I did miss a question. Sorry about that, Dan. Yes, I do fly the GemFan 51466s, V2s. I really like them. They are a little bit on the aggressive side. So they're really, your inputs are really, what's the word I'm looking for? They are magnified when you really pop the throttle. You really get a lot of power on tap with those props. And depending on what kind of batteries you're running, they may not like you too much. So keep that in mind. But I think they are a really good, well-rounded prop for freestyle.
Yeah, they're great on those heavier builds. 700
Yeah.
plus gram builds. Love those
Yeah.
props.
Absolutely. Fly Zone Drone says you have an awesome channel. Absolutely, Ciotti does. See, exactly, man. The support you guys give, it really is inspiring, and we couldn't do what we do without you guys and without you guys in the community. So thank you so much. That's why I love giving back, and Ciotti, I know he feels the same because he does giveaways all the time. We love giving back because you guys give so much to us. You give us your trust. You trust that we're going to give you a good, honest, review. We're going to put our passion out there for you. Greatly appreciate that. Hey, welcome in JDS Flying Chuck. Appreciate seeing you come in, man. And Third Eye View, welcome in as well. All right, guys. Well, we're going to get ready to bring it to a close. Does anybody else have any questions for Ciotti, myself, or anybody in chat? And if you're watching this in the future, feel free to leave a comment down below. I'll make sure I get to it for you if you have any questions after the live stream. And make sure you do check out Ciotti FPV. Link in the video description. You may have been watching it for some time, and you may not even realize that you weren't subbed. So now's a good time to check those subs, smash that sub button, throw him a like, and show him how much you really are here to support him. Let's see. FlyZone says, does anyone have any other websites except for Get FPV, Pyro Drone, Get FPV, Newbie Drone? Try Race Day Quads, FlyZone. Try Race Day Quads.
FPV Exchange is also good too because it'll show you all the websites that sell the specific item.
Oh yeah, cool. FPV Exchange. There you go. And sometimes you can get lucky at Defiance RC. So check out Defiance RC. They kind of get missed a lot.
Who else is there? There's Cyclone, Newbie Drone. Oh, he's already got Newbie Drone in there.
Heli Nation, Noah said.
Thanks, Ricardo.
Yeah,
Heli Nation's a good spot. Heli Nation, Heli Direct.
Already queues on back order. Gotcha. Yeah, there's so many vendors out now in the U.S. It really is nice.
Yeah.
There is the fact that we have multiple places we can look and search for our parts now is really cool. Awesome. Well, if nobody has any more questions, guys, I'm going to go ahead and bring it to a close. But once again, Aaron, thank you so much for being a special guest tonight, man. I really appreciate it. You're awesome. Keep doing what you love to do. And I can't wait to see more and more from you, man.
I appreciate it, Eric. It was my pleasure to be on here, man.
Yeah, and if you're ever...
Love you guys.
If you're ever on the East Coast, man, let me know. I would love to meet up with you in person, man, and rip some packs, man. That would be awesome.
You said you're up in Delaware, right?
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
I visit my parents every so often up in New Jersey, so you never know.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm not that far from Jersey either. Probably about 40-ish minutes.
Awesome.
Yeah, so definitely, man, hit me up on Messenger. Let me know if you're in the area, man. We'll definitely set something up.
I like it, man. 2022.
Heck yeah, and I will be at I.O., so hopefully our paths will cross there as well.
Totally.
Yes, and don't forget, guys, if you're still here, go check out Optimized Drone. I think those guys are going live. Go ahead and hang out over there, have some good times. And we will see you guys on the next one. Thanks so much again to Ciotti FPV. Link in the video description. And until next time, guys, Edrone out.